The Pittsburgh Steelers continue to draw attention for their aggressive yet strategic approach to roster construction this offseason, with their latest target being none other than former Buffalo Bills and Jacksonville Jaguars wide receiver Gabe Davis. Even after executing a trade for veteran tight end Jonnu Smith, an acquisition that filled one of their key offensive voids, the Steelers remain determined to bolster their receiving core. Davis, who visited Pittsburgh in June as part of a free agency tour that included 4 other franchises, remains unsigned. Yet the Steelers' ongoing interest reveals a deeper calculation, one that takes into account not only his prior production but also his current physical condition and long-term upside. Gabe Davis is not an unknown commodity. Drafted in the 4th round of the 2020 NFL Draft out of UCF, Davis quickly built a reputation as a big-play threat. His early years with the Buffalo Bills were marked by explosive receptions, clutch performances in high-stakes games, and a strong chemistry with quarterback Josh Allen. Most notably, his unforgettable 98-yard touchdown against the Steelers solidified him as a dangerous deep-field weapon who could stretch defenses and force coverage breakdowns. In that moment, Davis didn't just display speed and route-running acumen, he demonstrated the killer instinct the Steelers often value in offensive playmakers. However, fast forward to the 2024 season, and the narrative around Davis is murkier. After signing a 3-year, $39 million deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars, expectations were sky-high. But those hopes came crashing down, as Davis was limited to just 10 games, catching only 20 passes for 239 yards and 2 touchdowns. The production drop-off was concerning, but what ultimately sealed his release was his health. The Jaguars cut ties with Davis citing a failed physical designation, a move that raised alarm bells across the league. According to NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport, the primary issue with Davis is his left knee. In November, he underwent surgery to repair a torn meniscus. The timeline for meniscus recovery varies, but given the explosiveness required of NFL receivers, the injury casts a long shadow over Davis's ability to contribute in the short term. To complicate matters, Davis had also sustained a PCL sprain in January 2024, which added to the cumulative stress on that knee. While these injuries are not necessarily career-ending, they significantly alter Davis's short-term outlook and, by extension, his market value. Despite these red flags, the Steelers remain intrigued, and perhaps rightfully so. Davis has shown flashes of brilliance when healthy. His 2023 season, where he posted 836 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns on 48 receptions, remains a testament to his potential as a reliable vertical threat. More importantly, his playstyle aligns with what Pittsburgh is trying to build offensively. Under offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, the Steelers appear to be leaning toward a more vertical, aggressive passing game that emphasizes explosive plays and physicality. In that context, Davis could be an ideal schematic fit. One of the underrated aspects of Gabe Davis's game is his willingness and effectiveness as a blocker. Pittsburgh's offensive philosophy has always placed a premium on toughness and team-first mentality, especially from receivers. Davis has consistently graded well in run-blocking situations, showing a knack for sealing edges and contributing to the ground game. That trait alone could make him an attractive option for Pittsburgh, especially considering the way the team often leverages wide receivers in their power run packages. Still, the caveats are numerous. The Steelers would not just be acquiring a wide receiver, they would be gambling on a body that has taken significant punishment in recent months. The failed physical designation by Jacksonville isn't merely a procedural formality, it's an admission that Davis is not ready to compete at an NFL level today. Pittsburgh's front office would need to evaluate whether the timeline for his recovery matches their own competitive goals for the season. With training camp looming and roster spots at a premium, the margin for error is slim. What makes the potential union between Davis and the Steelers even more compelling is the current shape of Pittsburgh's receiving depth chart. With the departure of Deontay Johnson and a relatively thin group behind primary target DK Metcalf, the Steelers could benefit immensely from adding another viable pass-catching option. Jonnu Smith's arrival helps in the intermediate game and red zone presence, but Davis could open up the offense vertically, allowing more space for other weapons to operate. It's the kind of layered threat system Pittsburgh hasn't had in years, and Davis, if healthy, could be a catalyst. Moreover, the timing could be fortuitous. Davis's injuries and release have significantly depressed his market value. Where once he might have commanded north of $10 million annually, he may now be looking at veteran minimum deals with incentives. For the Steelers, who have managed their salary cap relatively well, this presents a low-risk, high-reward opportunity. Offering Davis a short-term, incentive-laden contract would protect the team while giving the receiver a platform to reestablish himself as a viable starter. It's also worth considering the culture fit. The Steelers have long been admired for their ability to rehabilitate the careers of players who've faced adversity. Whether it's through coaching stability, locker room leadership, or the accountability embedded in the franchise's DNA, Pittsburgh has turned around many careers. Davis, by all accounts a hard worker and team player, might thrive in such an environment. Reuniting with former AFC foes and joining a team known for maximizing talent could be exactly what he needs to reignite his career. From Davis's perspective, the Steelers offer a rare opportunity, a chance to play meaningful snaps, re-enter a competitive environment, and potentially become a featured weapon again. In an increasingly competitive AFC North, where games are often decided by one or two explosive plays, a rejuvenated Gabe Davis could be a difference-maker. As the calendar inches toward training camp, the Steelers' front office faces a familiar dilemma. Do they pull the trigger on a high-upside move, or play it safe with the current roster? Signing Davis wouldn't be a splashy move by traditional standards, but it could be a critical one. With defenses keying in on Metcalf, the presence of another vertical threat could reshape how opponents prepare for Pittsburgh. It could also open up opportunities in the run game, especially if Davis returns to form as a blocker on the perimeter. The Steelers have been unafraid to make unconventional moves this offseason, and adding Davis would fit that mold. It's not a blockbuster. It's not guaranteed to work. But it has the makings of one of those midseason stories that pundits point to in hindsight. That's when Pittsburgh turned the corner. For a player like Davis, who's fighting for his professional future, the motivation couldn't be stronger. And for a franchise that prides itself on toughness, resilience, and competitive fire, the fit might be better than anyone expects. In the end, the decision may hinge less on medical evaluations and more on timing. If Davis can pass a physical in the coming weeks and demonstrate enough speed and agility in private workouts, expect Pittsburgh to be among the first to reach out. The groundwork has already been laid through the initial visit in June. The Steelers know what he offers, and Davis knows what they need. It's a matter of aligning timelines, of matching a player on the mend with a team on the rise. If it works, it could become one of the most savvy signings of the offseason. If it doesn't, Pittsburgh walks away with minimal loss. But the possibility of a rejuvenated Gabe Davis catching deep balls from whoever wins the Steelers' quarterback battle in front of a roaring Heinz Field crowd is one that's hard to ignore. The clock is ticking, and both sides know it. The only question that remains is who will make the next move.